Welcome to the Revital Health Podcast, where we explore the exciting intersection of modern science, ancestral wisdom, and personalized health optimization. I'm your host, Jody DeVal, naturopath, integrative medicine expert, and founder of Revital Health Clinic in Perth, Western Australia. Each episode will dive deep into cutting-edge therapies, groundbreaking research, and practical strategies to help you live your best life, having plenty of fun along the way. Whether you're keen to supercharge your energy, balance your hormones, or discover the latest biohacking trends, you've come to the right place. If you love what you hear, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow so you never miss a moment with world-leading experts and game-changing insights. It's time to unlock your full health potential. Let's go! We acknowledge that the Revital Health Podcast is recorded on the unceded lands of the Whadjuk Noongar people of the Noongar Nation, Boorloo. We recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture and pay our respects to Noongar elders past and present. All right, welcome Mukti to the Revital Health Podcast. It's an absolute honour to have you on after being aware and watching you for years and years and years. And Mukti, the brand has been around since 2000. That's absolutely incredible. So I am absolutely excited to chat to you about all things beauty, products, skin, science today on the podcast. So welcome.
Thank you.
So Mukti, I wanted to start with, and I always do on the podcast because I think it's something that we all need to I think it's relatability and hearing the story behind the person and the brand in whatever detail you wish to give today. But it absolutely fascinates me with how, for 25, 26 years you've been in this industry, and it is still standing in terms of the success. It's growing. You're changing your products. You've got a book. You've reinvented your book as well. I believe that in 2024, your book came out as a hardcover, I believe. But correct me if I'm wrong. And now, 25 years later, I'm so excited to talk now about the evolution and what you've seen in the industry. But what sort of brought you to this point? I know it's a big question, but just to know a little bit more about you.
So I've got a background in complementary medicine. I started studying naturopathy. I also studied acupuncture, and then I couldn't stand the feeling when I was putting needles in people. So I figured out that there was some past life thing where I couldn't do it. And but I was fantastic at point location, and unfortunately I just couldn't see myself doing that. I find I've always been interested in alternative therapies, and I used a lot of homeopathy on my kids when they were little. I could see the benefit of plant medicine. It was just something that always made sense to me.
Yeah.
My favourite subjects were aromatherapy and Western herbalism. And then I also went on and studied to be a skin therapist. So I was quite passionate about the skin, and then it was a marriage of both of those things that led me to start making products. And back then, there wasn't an organic standard. There wasn't any such thing as green chemistry. It was very rudimentary, very Bobby Basic formulations. There was just some books from the library that were grandma recipes with a bit of borax and beeswax and a few herbs and extractions. And so it was really just experimenting at the time, and it was really because I wanted to use some cleaner products on my clients. Of course, there were the heritage brands such as Gilique and Dr. Hauschka and Weleda out of Europe, but in Australia there was Gilique that was sort of in the 80s and late 80s, early 90s, that they were, I think, in their heyday. And then I started playing around with formulating. It must have been late 90s after my first child was born, and it was very much it was something that I was doing for my clients and friends and family. And then I sort of decided to go to the markets with it, and that was like my income for a while. And then it became a little bit more serious as I started to see that more and more people were interested. But of course, we're living in a completely different era where there was no social media, so it was really about doing the door knocking, and the main form of income then was going to the markets and then on selling as well to clients directly. And then pretty much door knocking. I had a really good relationship with a few distributors, and then I managed to get the products into health food and pharmacy. I shudder to think of the packaging and the way that the products looked back then. There's been quite a few iterations, but I've evolved and the formulations have evolved as the years have gone by. So I feel like it's important to keep evolving with the chemistry and with new discoveries with the skin, for example. And even now, I'm constantly studying. I'm constantly intrigued. I was quite surprised when I put out the book Truth in Beauty that I couldn't find something similar, and that's why I went into that deep study. This was obviously pre-AI as well, and so I spent years researching and gathering information and really wanting to have the evidence-based information to back the claims that some of these ingredients that people were using on a daily basis were going to have long-term impacts on their health and well-being. And it was really out of curiosity. So the skincare came from necessity, and the book was out of curiosity and almost just surprised that this information wasn't readily well known, and that I feel people are a little bit more curious now and questioning things a lot more in the wake of what has happened over the last few years, and I feel like it's definitely changed again. But I feel that when I started this journey, that information wasn't readily available, so I went about to find out on my own. And Truth and Beauty took me down a whole rabbit hole of all sorts of things, and so I wanted it to be a health and wellness Bible for people that were interested in skincare and beauty products, but also it fed into the whole holistic principle of diet and lifestyle, etc. as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I want to pull apart a little bit, because you can't really talk about the skin without talking about all of those things as well, can you? And yeah, so it's super important.
Well, your skin, as you know, is only going to reflect what's going on internally as well, and then we also go through those many changes in life, so hormonal changes and shifts, and with pregnancy, and again with childbirth, and then again going through perimenopause and menopause, the skin goes through those various changes. So I've always made products to support my process in that, and then put them out into the public arena as well. And I'm actually sitting in a completely different viewpoint to what I have been previously, and I'm very interested in skin physiology now, and really probably simplifying a lot of the formulations. Very interested in clean preservation and changing some of the preservatives. Obviously, I've never used things like phenoxyethanol and parabens, etc., but I still feel like even with the Cosmos and certified organic standards, there's some preservation that possibly is questionable. And I mean, we're always about, with skincare, we're always about shelf life and stability and functionality, but it's also important to understand what is the long-term impact of using those ingredients on the skin and also on the environment. And so I'm studying corneotherapy, which is the skin and the epidermis and how that works, and this, what ingredients we should be using. And so I'm simplifying everything again. I'm looking at essential oils and removing some of those from some of the products as well, because we're going to continue to see people with barrier impairment and sensitivity, and that's just going to be on the increase. So I'm reformulating again, and I constantly do that. It's the next iteration, and really I'm interested in preserving people's skin barrier more so than anything right now. That's my latest passion.
Yeah, I am right there with you. I've seen this evolution of the essential oils too. They were everything you needed to do, 5-10 years ago, and then now I'm seeing
Many clients, obviously taking internally the essential oils, which is not ideal, and also on the skin. And I'm seeing huge barrier issues as well. Obviously, not understanding it to the depth that you do, but I see it from the point of view of the skin issues that are presenting to me in clinic. Yeah, it's really concerning, I feel, and it's not much information like you're trying to bring out now on the barrier, and so I think it's really that next evolution. And like you say, science changes, information changes, and we are rapidly changing the way that we can gain information now with the AI. And so, obviously products and our knowledge has to evolve and change, which is what I really respect about you and your brand that you've created, is that you're constantly evolving. And without that, you can't still be in the industry. It's something that people will look at and look up to you for, which is absolutely incredible. On that note, for 25, 26 years later, what stayed the same and what's dramatically changed? And I know you've mentioned the essential oils and the barrier, and obviously the learning capacity now that you've got and that's coming in, but what still remains a really strong belief system in terms of from where you started?
Certified organic and a certified organic base and certified organic ingredients still create the basis of all the formulations. And then I started to explore native Australian extracts. That was back in probably 2012, and then also explored peptides back then, which created what we used to refer to as the Age Defiance collection. Mm-hmm. And now I've revamped those, and we're about to launch them. Actually, it's the Bioactive Renewal Collection. So there's a day, eye, and night serum in these formulas. And I also wanted the scientific evidence and the data behind that. So we did a lot of in vitro studies with these particular products and these formulas, because we wanted to also prove that natural and organic actually do work and they are efficacious and they will deliver results. So we got some amazing in vitro studies as well as the in vivo studies with these products. So I think what's always important to me is to have that certified organic basis and then have your actives in there, but also coming from the principle that less can often be more. So, you don't necessarily need 25 or 30 different ingredients in there. Some of them can counteract and cancel each other out as well with their efficaciousness. So formulating is a lot more complex than I think people realise, as far as really getting the results and the delivery systems right. And that takes years and years and years of finessing, and it was something that back then I didn't have a chemist, so I studied formulating, and it's given me an appreciation of that. So that's formed the basis of all of the products. And back then there wasn't a certified organic standard either. That was in 2002. So it was all without meaning to be a pioneer. In a lot of instances, when I look back, I was probably one of the first people to start exploring some of these novel ingredients and using them in skincare, and which seems very odd, but it's kind of how it played out. And I think it was just my curiosity and wanting to make things for myself initially, and then realizing that other people were also wanting the same things. Yeah,
it's a true pioneer, is that when you're creating things for yourself, your need, your family, your friends, and then the curiosity and the constant need and requirement to know more. Knowing that you know nothing is, I think, the best thing to be knowing or doing. So yeah, it's such a common myth, isn't it, when you're looking at organic or certified organic or natural, and many people will say, oh, well, natural, it doesn't work then, it's not active, or it's not going to do anything for your skin, so that was, I think, maybe 8 years ago. I feel it just definitely was coming through in that. And now we've, as you have, and many others have proven that, well, the natural ingredients, if formulated correctly, if applied correctly, if combined correctly, it's going to be so efficacious. And now the science is showing that, which is incredible. So I want to dive
Yeah.
into, yeah, sorry, Mukti, you go ahead, but I just
No,
wanted to
I was
dive into
going.
some of those key ingredients as well, if you wanted to
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more.
So there's a few that I really love and I use in a lot of the formulations. I've found the most active have been CO2 extracts, and we get a lot of those from Europe, and they have, the beautiful deep, rich yellows and orange colours. So they're really rich in your carotenoids and polyphenols. That's a really good way to be able to tell that if you're not sure. So you want that rich yellow orange colour. And then, of course, peptides have formed the basis of this bioactive renewal range as well. And I could see that they were having an impact on the skin, and then also combining the native Australian extracts in there. Some oils that I love would be things like marigold and calendula officinalis, sea buckthorn berries, um, ubiquinone is another one that I use in a wide range of products, kakadu plum. Some of the formulas, I think we've now got 40 or 50 products, and so the ones that I find have the most research behind them or have the most effectiveness as far as the results will be used alongside a lot of the formulations that they're in. So they form the basis of most of those. The age defiance, or what's now known as the bioactive renewal, had an effect on increasing collagen as well as supporting existing collagen. So we had really amazing results with this. It had a dual action, which you don't often see in an eye product. So it enhances the collagen as well. The synthesis was nearly 20%, and then it also reduced the collagen breakdown, which was a dual action that they haven't found. So it protects as well as builds new collagen. So that was a very exciting breakthrough. And then with the day serum, for example, this works with hydration and antioxidants. So I've been using these products myself for the last, I think they were launched in 2014. So these are nearly 12 years on the market, 14 years on the market. This day serum in vitro tested, it was shown to help skin cells stay stronger and more resilient when exposed to environmental stress. We had an increase in fibroblast activity and also immune cell activity. It also helps slow down the breakdown of collagen, and so overall it increases cell resilience and even under oxidative stress. So you really want your skincare products to be working for you and really helping with maintaining the skin. And then this one is the night serum. So this one works on the skin texture, and it works on evenness, a skin tone as well. This one in vitro tested had a really good, under high oxidative stress, it had statistically significant results supporting the skin's natural immune defences during the overnight repair process. So it boosted the skin repair activity by almost 20%. So it supported the skin's process of recovery while you sleep. So I've always been very pro making sure that the skin products do something as well as just making ingredient or label claims. I think it's really important to know that they are going to deliver the results. And I've been using them, as I said, and we've had a lot of clients that have been long-term clients that have used them for many years. And so I think that, and then there's this other product, which is the Queen of the Night, which is a really lovely, deeply nourishing collagen-based cream that also supports the skin when you sleep. Again, using key actives, ceramides, plant-based collagen, and peptides in this one as well. So there's a lot of research and talk at the moment about peptides, but we've got the history behind us as far as using them and testing them now. So it's a really exciting evolution.
Yeah, as you say, peptides aren't new, but now
No.
the media have now made it all brand new and shiny and make it the new fad. So everyone's going wild for it. So I definitely want to ask you about that in a minute. But firstly, just with the studies there, how long was the studies for in terms of a timeline to get those effects?
These ones were some of them were a few weeks and some of them were a few months. So it was just, and then obviously when we're testing in vivo, we usually like to do that for a period of about 6 to 8 weeks. And so we can get those results as well. So marrying the in vivo and the in vitro together just really puts us in a different position. And I guess that's something that was very important to me, to prove that that natural and organic skincare works. And and also to be the face of that too, because I've been using them for that long. And they've sort of helped me because I'm not young anymore. So I think that speaks for itself as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's a lot of pressure though, as being a face of a beauty. And you have to have all of that, right. But you like you say, you are the face of it. So the proof is in the pudding.
Yes.
And you look like you're about 25. So well done.
Well, I'm not. I have a 31-year-old daughter now, and I have a 25-year-old daughter. So I'm definitely not that young anymore. But I think, again, it's diet, it's lifestyle, it's attitude, it's the whole, everything builds upon each other. So
it is everything, isn't it, combined? Absolutely.
Yeah. And you don't just end up in a situation. It's the daily choices that we make. So I'm very much about, I guess, too, when you see someone suffering, like an aging parent, for example, it's a good time to make those choices and decisions about how you want to spend the rest of your life, and creating those really good solid foundations, so that I definitely don't want to end up the way both of my parents have ended up. So that's also been something that's fueled me and motivated me to lead a healthier lifestyle. It just makes sense to me as well. I think it's this tuning into the innate wisdom with everything that we do. Yeah. And
staying connected.
And the name Mukti means freedom and liberation, and liberation from false knowledge and lies. So I guess I'm living up to that as well, always questioning everything and using that innate intelligence, without saying too much more about that. But I think the last few years have really proven that, we need to trust ourselves and our own radar and our own internal compass.
Yeah, it's going to get more and more confusing.
Yeah, and there's just so much information. There's so much out there as well. I don't love social media, but I have to use it for educational purposes, and obviously, I try to avoid going down any rabbit holes. I'm just very disciplined with my time. I'd rather be using it to doing some other things that are more constructive. So,
I totally agree. I'm mum of 2 kids as well, and I've got a teenager now, and it's you realize what's important. I've always have, and I'm actually really glad in a way that I did my education prior to all of this, and to see it in a different level, as you would agree as well, and doing it from a point of view of, I was still doing my exams on paper. And now with the evolution of AI, you don't know what's real and what's not, and it's really unstabling from a nervous system point of view, but also an untrusting. We are really going to have to use that internal compass, like you say. I think it's one of the next things that we are going to have to be inextricably taught around how to do that, because we're going to lose it very, very, very fast. And I'm a big fan of in the right way, looking at psychedelics and things like that. The research on this all is coming out. I know this is not around the podcast, but it's one thing that our society has missed for years and years and years. And I think some of these things will really help us come back to it, but just community and connection and ceremony and rituals, like you say, and, bringing out, self innate taught and leading with whatever we need to be doing in terms of what we're connecting with. It's very, very important. So I'm right there with you on all of that, and I feel it there too, and it's it leads me in my practice and my meditations every day that I do here as well. But I feel it's quite heavy with what's going to come, and I feel like it's going to need a lot to lift us out of this. So again, I'm not a big fan of social media, but have to for business as well, because we have to just and it's like you say, it's correct information we're trying to share to overcome the incorrect information, we also have to share and have us on there. So really, really important. Before I forget, I wanted to go through the peptides, because I think everyone is going to be like, oh, well, peptides this and peptides that. What's worth our attention, Mukti, in terms of peptides of the skin? And that, what have you noticed? What have you seen? What have you researched?
Well, obviously they've got there's different peptides for different functions, and they're going to have a different effect. The main ones that I use would be for plumping and hydration. They're really the main ones that are in these formulas. I use a molecule in the night serum that's called Chromobrite, and that helps with the skin brightening and skin damage and pigmentation. And then I use the plant-based collagen in the Queen of the Night, as I touched on before. So it really just depends on the effect that you want to have. But most of these ones in this particular range are all geared towards maintaining the skin and helping with skin longevity and preventing the degradation of the skin. So obviously when you're putting something on the skin, it's not going to be the same as taking it internally. So I'm also curious as to internal supplements. So we've been working on an internal supplement to support the skin as we go through those processes of collagen degradation and elastin degradation, etc. So it's really bolstering the skin internally. So collagen peptides, and then using certain novel ingredients that have been shown to help collagen and elastin and also the uptake, because you can be taking something, as you would well know, and supplementing, but it may not actually be absorbed by the gut. So the other product that I've been working on is a product that supports that internally as well. And so collagen peptides are interesting, but also making sure that the uptake is there, and using those internally. So I think we're on a little bit of an interesting time with the the injectable peptides, and people taking those, and then often refer to it as putting a Ferrari engine in a Datsun body. And it's kind of like, I actually wrote a Substack about it. I haven't published it yet, but it was like everyone wants quick fixes and they want them now. So it's going back to that conversation that we started before about, well, what is the foundation? Because you're only ever going to be as good as the foundation that you've created, and the building blocks. When we were speaking earlier about mitochondria and really supporting your mitochondrial health, it's like, well, you've got to go back to those basic building blocks and make sure everything's functioning, and then it's a process of elimination as well, and then it's N=1. And just because this protocol works for someone else doesn't necessarily mean it's going to have the same benefits, or your body's going to respond in the same way. My partner is a PT, and he was recently in Bali at quite a well-known big gym, and he's a healthy looking guy. He's 46, 6'3", probably 12% body fat, and he said when he went there, he felt like George Costanza in amongst all these 25 to 35-year-olds, because they were all peptided up, and he was, he said he just felt so average next to all these young kids. And I'm just worried about the impact of the quality of what they're putting into their bodies, and also the long-term impact of that. And I mean, we're already seeing this heightened increase in cancer. So I just think people need to be very aware of what they're doing and why they're doing it, and the motivation behind it. It's something that greatly concerns me. So the source of where we get our ingredients from, or peptides or whatever you're using in your supplements, is just as important as the actual molecule itself, and doing the research on that. And I think a lot of people are quite fascinated by them, but it's, again, you want to have the right basis for and the right reasoning behind doing something.
Absolutely. I think it's been done very carelessly and without the underlying knowledge on how to do it. And I think this is an understanding of biology that many people who are in the consumer world don't know, and then aren't gaining information from those who do. And then that's the issue as well, is that especially in a place like Australia, we don't actually have the information yet, or not. We don't have the medical practitioners being taught, or even the naturopathic practitioners to even guide. And yeah, it deeply concerns me as well, you know, not just the ingredients that are found in it or the excipients that we might not be testing for, but if they're actually real, if the strength of them is real, and then the combination, and then the testing. You know, no one's testing tumor markers or looking at their IGF-1 levels, and yeah, they're looking at forums, etc., etc. So yeah, I agree. It's you know, it's one thing to put it on top of the skin and expect a result when you know that the delivery method, you know, from your perspective, my perspective, is not good, so they're wasting their money. But injecting it, it's scary for me as well. I'm in agreement with you.
Yeah, I think we've got to be careful about self-diagnosis, and then also who are we getting the information from? What's the source? And is it qualified? Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's just, yeah. It's the wild, wild west out there at the moment. Yeah. So scared. So copper, you know, copper CHKCU, GHKCU, sorry. I had a chat with Nayan Patel a couple of weeks ago, and he has created a nice delivery system for the copper tripeptide. And he also talks about glutathione, which I really respect. And he's done a lot of work around the delivery system for glutathione. And now he's created a spray, which is beautiful, because I know how difficult it is to get glutathione, you know, versus the NAC versions for the body, and it being a master antioxidant beyond other things as well. You know, really important. So, now, in terms of copper, what's your perspective, the copper peptide, on that? Because I know you would be deep in the research.
Yeah, look, I haven't incorporated it into any of the formulas as yet. It's something that I've been interested in. And I guess I'm more on a barrier. I'm more sort of going down that path at the moment. But I guess when you start formulating something, you've got to... When I reformulated these ones, I kind of either had to stick with what was already in there or go back to square one. So I haven't really done a lot with copper peptides at this stage, but I've heard really good results, and I'd be interested in actually experimenting with them and trying them, but I can't really speak to that at this point in time. Glutathione I've taken as an internal sub. Again, I think the delivery methods and the stability is always what we come up against when we're formulating, to make sure that they are going to do what they say they're going to do. So I know that they do a lot of studies as well, and I've heard really good things. So it's another brand that's really stood out to me.
All right. So it's quite new, which is great. And then previous to that, I was using Quicksilver. You know, Chris Shade's a colleague of mine as well. So it's interesting just to see where all this is also going to head to. And I'm really so enamored, really, by, you know, people like yourself and Chris and Nayan to put in the research, you know, and that, because it's not a cheap exercise to be able to do this research, and same in the cannabis industry, which I'm really heavily involved in. You know, you have to put your foot forward and actually do the research in a lot of these cases to actually get the outcomes and to get the information for others. And I really admire this. It's just you know, it's a beautiful thing. So thank you. Firstly,
fortunately, I guess in the States you've got a broader demographic of people. In Australia, people don't necessarily, I find, we're a bit limited with how much we can charge as well, because there is a ceiling.
Exactly.
I think if I was to be employed by someone else as a formulator, I don't think I'd be unemployable, basically, because I put a lot of very, very expensive ingredients in my formulas, and at the percentages that I know they're going to work. So I've just been playing around with something else recently, and my chemist came back to me with the COGS, the cost of the ingredients, and he'd already given me a sample, so I was like, oh, this is exceptional, I love it. And then he showed me the COGS, and I was like, well, I'm still going to take it to market, because I can see the value and the benefit. But if I was in the States, look, honestly, these products are probably twice as much as what I can charge here for them, because I know what goes into them, and I don't really skimp on the ingredients and the percentages that they're in the formulas either, because you want results at the end of the day. And then you don't actually have to use as much either, so they last a lot longer. So you get 3 to 4 months out of your products. I think with the eye cream, I think you'll probably get 6 months out of a small 10 ml jar, so a little bit goes a long way. So they're also value in that regard.
I think people are willing to pay for the quality, and that's what surprised me as well. Seeing how much people spend on skincare and are okay with that has blown me away, actually, because I was also one of those skeptics around, like, why would you want to spend $400 on a cream? Like, I wouldn't, and then all these people are.
Yeah, but some of them you can, I think it's really important to learn how to read labels, because once you can identify what ingredients are in there, what the base of the product is, and the percentages of the actives, it's really good to, probably the easiest way to do it as a consumer, if you're not sure, is identify where the preservatives is sitting, and then you can sort of work your way back from there. Is it in that top, if it's in the top third, then you've got probably a lot of, in a normal skincare product, you'd have a lot of silicone derivatives in there and a lot of emulsifiers, and then you'd have your preservative system, water, of course, and then your actives sit under there. So identifying where that preservative is sitting will give you an idea of the actives. But again, you don't want products that are going to be too active as well. So it depends on what's in the formula. But I think I researched a product recently that was working on the 242 as far as the fatty acid and ceramides, and the basis of it was a lot of silicons, really, and then so when I look at the price and compare what's in it, it doesn't add up. So I think it's good to have a little bit of a basic understanding about what you're actually paying for when you do look at ingredients. But it's not as simplified as a third. It's kind of you've got to know what you're looking for. But if you look for the preservative first, I think that's a good starting point. And then as far as ingredients to avoid, I'd avoid anything with any form of perfume or fragrance in it across the board. Just absolutely no. The other one that's a big no-no for me would be phenoxyethanol as a preservative system, because that's in most mainstream cosmetics and skincare products. And if you're using, let's say, on average 12 products or however many most women use, if they're wearing makeup as well, it's the percentages do add up over time. So it's this bioaccumulative effect on the organism that we've got to consider, not just. And the other thing is, products aren't tested before they go to market. It's not like a food standard or a regulation like food. You can just put something to market and it's not been tested or verified or regulated by anyone. That's also really important to understand and know. So there is no one checking anything. And also, making sure that the products are made in a GMP facility, for example, and they're being filled in a GMP facility. So you might have a lot of people home-based, making products out of in a situation that isn't GMP. So it's not of a high standard. So you've also got to be careful of that too when you are buying skincare. Making sure that they do have the shelf life and stability, that they have been tested, and obviously all of those things and regulations cost a lot of money as a manufacturer, which is primarily what we are, because we do everything in-house. So we formulate, we make the products, and we distribute the products and fulfill the products ourselves. So a lot goes into that, but also we have our own good manufacturing practice, and then we've got our certified organic, so we get audited independently, so we have to hit a certain standard, and then once you're selling into Europe, you've got to go through EU regulation as well. So each product has a product information file or a dossier that's, you know, pages and pages thick of what's actually in the formula, and everything's traceable back to the source. So it starts to get quite complex, and there's a lot of administrative work that goes into creating products as well that I don't think many consumers are aware of.
No, I agree. It is hugely cumbersome from what I know about it, obviously, which is minute compared to you. But yeah, and that's where it's not an easy exercise to start a company like yours and a brand like yours. And this is also why I'm enamored by the ability to maintain and have this running for 25 years. It's extraordinary. Yeah.
And bootstrapped all the way as well.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I haven't taken on investment and up to this point. So that's also been, you know, had its challenges as well.
I can imagine, especially with the different environments of the world.
Yeah, I've learned a lot about business, but I mean, I was never really in this just to sort of make a quick buck and get out. It wasn't what has driven me. I've just been more passionate about the education and creating, you know, really quality products and using quality ingredients.
Yeah, like you say, it's a pioneer, you know, when you want to leave the world with a stamp of, you know, what you've created and taught, and, you know, and it's not just, like you say, as a money-making exercise. It's something that you want to leave, you know, in your legacy, which you have already, which is absolutely incredible. So we've just been through the environment. I just want to quickly touch on a little bit more about this exposome, because it's like this total environmental load that we have, and it's growing every day. And you've mentioned the protection from the products and the skin, you know, so obviously you're protecting your skin against the toxins in the environment. And then obviously you've mentioned the ingredients component and the fragrances. I wanted to touch a little bit more on a few others that we might be looking for in our skincare. And I know you've already touched on the ethanol. You know, there's so many of my clients that come in and they say that they're taking or using like CeraVe products, and there's, you know, petroleum-based products. So obviously that's something that I wanted to just quickly touch on, because I think it's really interesting for listeners and, you know, those who are watching to know the difference of what they're looking for, and just the big red flags, and added a bit more, and then obviously the fragrances, and then what that is doing inside our body as well, you know.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people that are going for the CeraVe type products is because they've probably got barrier impairment and they're sensitized, and so they're looking for something that's going to make the skin feel better without irritating it. So I can understand why they would be choosing that, or a dermatologist might have recommended those products to them, because they are fairly inert as far as, you know, how they're going to make the skin feel. And usually if you've got some form of barrier dysfunction or dermal impairment, you just want something that's going to soothe it and lock in a bit of moisture and hydration. So that's why I feel like those products have, you know, will people will gravitate towards them. I personally would probably gravitate towards something that's an oil that's similar in composition to the sebum of the skin. So going towards something like a jojoba or a macadamia nut, for example, if you want to keep things really simplified. I am fascinated by the skin barrier, as I said before, because we're basically destroying it, and people are starting, or kids are starting now at a really young age. You know, we've got all these tweens and even earlier starting to be fascinated by skincare. I've got friends with 9 and 10-year-olds who are saying that at their birthday parties, these kids are arriving and giving them lip glosses and makeup, and their mothers are like, oh, you know, I actually have to talk to the kids because they won't listen to their mums, and it's, you know, just like that conversation, and they go, oh, look, I know it's really bad, but all the other girls are wearing it and I really want to be part of that. And it's just this peer group pressure as well. But I think anything, just to keep it really simple, because there are so many products out there, is to be careful about anything that you're inhaling or ingesting. For example, anything that you're spraying. So you'd want to be looking at deodorants, you'd want to be looking at hairsprays, mists, and being very aware of, and perfumes, of course, because you are inhaling as well as ingesting those really fine particles. And so using those, particularly if you do have a propensity towards wearing a fragrance, then you'd want to be applying that outside in a well ventilated area and just applying a very small amount to your clothes and not to your actual body. Because we've got the endocrine system that's under attack at the moment as well, and then we're seeing all these hormonal issues. We're seeing polycystic ovarian syndrome, we're seeing hormone dysfunction. You'd be seeing a lot of those sorts of things in your practice as well. And it's interesting how many people are actually subjecting themselves to these fragrance products and basically lathering and bathing in them daily. So I just would cut out anything that has an artificial or a fake smell. We talked earlier about essential oils. I think essential oils have their place. They have very strong, they're 70 to 90 times stronger than they are with the plants. So they need to be extracted from the plants. So they need to be used with respect and reverence, and never used neat on the skin. With the new fragrance allergens law now, skincare labels are going to start looking quite different, because the constituents of the essential oils have to be listed, and there's quite a lot of new fragrance allergens. I think there's another 56 that have been added to that, which is a bit of a joke really, because someone can still be selling a product with perfume or fragrance in it that can just be labelled under that umbrella term without all the isomers and constituents needing to be labelled. So anything that's got a fragrance in there has usually got diethyl phthalate in there, so that helps it to adhere to the skin and prolongs the staying power of that. So anything that sticks around as far as the smells are concerned is best to be avoided. Anything with that longevity, anything that is smear-proof, smudge-proof, water-resistant, all of those have got PFAS in them, so your polyfluoroalkyl substances, which are forever chemicals, which means that they do not break down in the environment ever. And so they're in a lot of makeup, they're in a lot of mascaras, they're in a lot of things where people want the makeup to stay on. So even when you're trying to remove it or cleanse it off your face, you're still going to have that bioaccumulative effect in some level on the organism and also in the environment. So that's concerning. Sunscreens are another one as well. We've obviously had a lot of media coverage on sunscreens recently. I think there's been a lot of fear-based media around the sun. Obviously, a lot of people are now talking out about that as well. I mean, we get our vitamin D from the sun. And I think healthy sun exposure is something that is vital to the human organism, and very important. Yes, you can wear a zinc-based sunscreen if you're going out in the middle of the day, but I don't think we need to be demonising or fearing the sun as much as we have been led to believe. And then staying away from chemical sunscreen, so anything that's got an SPF of 50 and above, even though it says it's mineral-based, will also have chemical sunscreen additives to that as well. And then you throw in a preservative on top of that, and then that's going to interact with the sunlight in a negative way. So you want to be really careful about what you're putting on your skin when you're going out into the sun as well. So they're my main ones. And then I think with teenagers in particular, it's just staying away from those sprays that they all seem to be addicted to. Coming back to that, our olfactory system was designed, our sense of smell was designed to move us away from danger, and then it's been so overloaded that a lot of people don't have that same sense around it, making them feel unwell. So I'm a big advocate for just sort of going through the house and checking everything from your personal care products to your cleaning products to your laundry detergents, for example. You know, if you can smell someone's clothes when they walk past you, you know, they're full of phthalates and plasticizers that are sticking to the fabric. And not only are the fabrics probably have a lot of microplastics in them, then you've also used some sort of something to clean it with that's on your body and on your skin, rubbing and actually absorbing into your body. So anything that's applied close to your glands as well, avoid that. Anything that, you know, toothpaste are also important. Anything that you're inhaling or ingesting, using in the steam, in your bathroom, using on the whole of your body. I mean, we know all of this through IVF clinics, for example. You know, they say not to wear fragrances when you're going into an IVF clinic or into somewhere where you're having chemotherapy, for example. There's a reason why they don't want you to wear fragrance in those places. And also we know from transdermally, we know that through hormone replacement therapy, for example, that the skin is going to uptake the testosterone and estrogen and estradiol through the skin. It's highly permeable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mucous membranes in particular are highly permeable. I think they're the sort of main points, the main ones to be aware of. And then something that you're using regularly on a daily basis, you know, just looking for an alternative that is not as that's simplified, that doesn't have as many ingredients in there.
Well, very well covered.
I'd like to go through that process too of elimination. It's similar when you're going through, as you would when you're putting someone on an elimination diet. You do the same thing. You strip it right back, and then you introduce one thing at a time. Particularly if you've got dermal impairment on the face, I'm like, just strip it right back. You know, use an oil to cleanse with, and then just use one product, and then see how your skin responds after a week. And then you can add something else onto that that's addressing another concern. But just take it back to basics is your best place to start with in doing an audit. In my book, Truth and Beauty, I cover off on a lot of that. And I have an A to Z blacklist in there of the ingredients that I studied. There's just over 50 of them that were the ones that had the most research behind them that were best to be avoided at all costs. So I did a deep dive. I did all the research on those ones as well to take the guesswork out of it. And I wrote that before AI, so it was a lot of work. There's a lot of years of research that went into that, and because I couldn't find the information back then, so it's a good resource if someone's interested in finding out more. I've only got a few more in print, so it is. I probably won't reprint that book, but it's the second edition of it, and I wrote it because I, as I said, I couldn't find all that information in one place back then before Claude.
Yeah, writing a book and studying will never be the same, will it?
BC, before Claude.
Exactly. No, that was an absolute amazing sort of context around what to look at, what to avoid. I agree with all of that. I, even just on the weekend, I just did a cream making workshop with 10-year-olds, 10 to 13-year-olds. And it's, just learning the basics of bringing the emulsifiers with the oils and the shea butter and just making like a nice body and just understanding all those different ingredients, not to the depth, obviously, that you do, but I think it's good for them to understand of like, because I see this too. I see all of the, cosmetic bags coming out from the 10-year-olds because my daughter is in that age group, and she's asking me, can I get this? Can I have some makeup? Can I, and no, like this is going to be harming you. This is forever. This is going to be in your body. This is going to be changing how your body is responding and your feeling and your health and your immune system. So I think it's really important information that we're giving, especially our teenagers and our young girls. We didn't get to go through any of the perimenopause changes, the menopause changes. And I think that, it's a big ask for us to cover everything in the one podcast today. But I really want to dive into that at another time. I think it would be absolutely fascinating if you had more time, in the coming months or years. And But we also didn't go through any of the greenwashing. You know, I think there's this hype around natural, organic, and the labeling around that, pure, chemical free. So that's something that, again, you can maybe briefly comment on, but I want to, before we run out of time today, get your sort of, top 3 things that you would look for in a skincare, and the brands maybe even of makeup that you would recommend people, or any other brand, other than Mukti, to be looking at as a safe, Mukti verified, brand. And also I would love to have, quick 3 things that you think are lifestyle based aspects that you must do daily for your skin. Just keeping it really simple, for 3 and 3. So that would be fantastic before we run out of time.
Yeah, so as far as makeup and skincare, there's so many brands, as I said, out there. So I'd be looking at ones that are certified organic or contain a large percentage of certified organic ingredients and independently certified by a third party. That's probably a really good place to start, and you know that the basis of those and the preservative systems are going to support the biology of the skin as well. And again, reading the labels. I have a Substack called Truth in Beauty where I dive into that, and then there's also the book as well if people are interested. What was the other question that you asked? What are the 3
lifestyle
negotiables? Water, of course. I drink hydrogen water. We have a filtration system in our home, so I drink that. We have filtered rainwater to bathe in as well, which we're fortunate. But if you don't have a filtration system and you're living in a city, then I would probably recommend putting some sort of filtration system on your water. So you've obviously got the fluoride and chlorine in there, so you can reduce that and your exposure to that. As we spoke about before, getting sun when you can, when the weather's not being changed around us. So that's also really important as well. Get your daily sunlight and ground yourself. And then bare feet on the ground is also really good for the whole organism. And drinking water, as I said. What was the other thing? Oh, cleansing. A lot of people forget to cleanse. So if you're going to wear makeup or sunscreen, making sure that you're removing all of that and making sure that your barrier is kept clean and not clogged, because a lot of people don't cleanse and they use soap on their skin, which has got really harsh surfactants, so it can be very drying and damaging to the skin as well. So using a gentle oil-based cleanser is a good thing to do as well. And what was the other one that you asked me? Is that it? Did I cover it all?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, it was just more around, I get asked a lot of questions around the makeup, and so obviously women are going to be using it no matter what. So I think it is good to know what to look out for when you're picking your brands for your makeup, because it's something that is an everyday thing as well for most women.
Yeah, so your PFAS, as I said before, they're not going to be listed on the products. So anything that's got that long, wearable, smudge proof is going to probably have PFAS in it. So just be aware of that too. There's a brand called Ilia. I've used some of their products before. Another one called Swede. Another one called Eye of Horus, of course, which is a Byron-based brand.
Yes.
A lot of the makeup is going to be using some form of oxides, and it's just really making sure that the base of those ingredients are the same. But a lot of the makeup is all made in either Europe, in Italy or Germany, so they usually have the same factories that they all come from. They're just branded differently. So, just making sure the base of it plus the oxides is as clean as possible, and looking out for the preservative, because most of them will be preserved with phenoxyethanol. So looking for something that isn't preserved with phenoxyethanol would be what I would recommend.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, Mukti, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time, your knowledge today. It's gone so fast. I could definitely talk for hours with you. So I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today as well. if there is a possibility, we can definitely do another one, because I think we didn't even touch on half of the things that I would love to discuss with you. And it's just so essential to get this information out, like you say. So, and I know it's a mission of yours as well. So I thank you so much. People can find obviously your book, on Instagram. We'll link all of that in there. Your shop, your Mukti products, the new products that are coming out, or the bioactives and the age that you've got coming through. Is there anything else that people need to be looking out for at the moment from Mukti?
No, there's Mukti Organics, which is the Instagram, and then my personal one is by BYMUKTI Mukti.
Excellent.
And then I have the Truth in Beauty Substack as well, where I dive into topical information. And I'd love to talk more about the hormones and what happens to the skin and how it changes as we continue to age.
Yeah, brilliant. No, it sounds really good. And hopefully I make my way over to Byron Bay, and because you also have a clinic, is that right? Or a salon where you have treatments and things like that too. Yeah. So
we do. We have a day spa. Yeah.
Beautiful. I think I'll be over there next time I come.
We'd love to see you.
Yeah. So thank you so much again, and until next time, we'll see you then.